Well, you've heard it before. You do the crime, you do the time.
But when it comes to privatized probation, there's a price to putting the past behind you. What happens when the more than 50,000 people on privatized probation in Tennessee won't, or more importantly, can't pay? Tonight, News Channel 11's Kylie McGivern examines the promise and pitfalls of privatized probation.
Well, it happened the last day of August.
It was the day that shook Dave Davis's life.
I got pulled over for a DUI coming home.
And uprooted his record.
This is the only brush that I've ever had with the law.
But it was in the aftermath of that August night that Davis felt the biggest shockwaves.
Did you ever think that you would still be paying for that, 2 years later?
No, not actually. I thought, I'll be going in front of the judge and he would sentence me to whatever he was going to do. And that would be the end of it.
But a weekend in jail and year on probation did little to put the past in the rearview mirror. Today, 2 jail visits and 2 years later, Davis is buried under court costs and mounting private probation service fees. They say you do the crime, you do the time. But for many like Davis, that time increases not because of a new crime, but failure to pay.
When you and I had spoken, you said there's a very good chance that you could be going back to jail before the end of the year?
Yes. My probation officer explained to me that probably by September, I believe it was, she would have to most likely issue another warrant for violation.
What is the financial burden that you're facing right now?
It's in the thousands.
$2,801, around $1,700 owed to the courts and $1,100 owed to Crossroads Area Alcohol and Drug Association, a private probation company.
We'll work with them if we know that, we know that they're sincerely trying. We'll do our best to help, but we still have to work within the guidelines that the judge sets for us.
Since October of 2012, Davis has paid just $10 toward his debt, the most he says he's been able to manage.
I'm on disability. After child support, I think I get roughly $500 a month, and with all the other, the rent, utilities, and all that. I just couldn't afford to pay it.
Because of that, Davis is now serving another year on probation, another $35 a month owed to Crossroads.
It's been doubled.
The statewide cap is set at $45. Davis has found himself at a loss of what to do.
I guess the threat of incarceration is supposed, but if you don't have the money, how are you going to,
Human Rights Watch says it's a position more and more people are finding themselves in.
And they wind up paying twice as much or more than people of greater financial means.
Chris Albin-Lackey works for Human Rights Watch in New York and authored the report Profiting from Probation.
What we found was a whole host of really disturbing abuses. There are people in the business who are ethical and who try to do things the right way, but the incentives lead them into a very negative and abusive direction where there isn't the right kind of oversight.
The incentive is simple: money. So who's really making bank? The probation company or county? Crossroads reports last quarter, while around 28% of monies owed went to the company, 71% went to the county. Crossroads is strapped with a steep responsibility to the county. In essence, you bring us the money owed, we send you the clients.
We're the cash cow, the one that brings the money in. And if that were to stop, the only place they're going to have to go is with property taxes. And Crossroads is the one that enforces the payment. They encourage it because they're not going to get off probation unless they have everything paid.
So you are really entrusting Crossroads to bring in the money that you all need to operate?
That's correct.
Last year, the courts contributed at least $1.2 million to the county's general fund.
You got to have some oversight.
Right.
In this state, this county, that's a judge. If something goes awry, they're going to answer me.
When the public throws punches, Judge Walton says it's Crossroads that gets the black eye.
Someone says, these are poor people that I'm putting in jail. Crossroads doesn't put them there. I put them there. They issue the warrant. I sign the warrant.
Probationers can spend up to 10 days behind bars before having their cases heard.
I have to consider on a case-by-case basis, and some people just don't want to pay.
Beyond the judge, Tennessee is one of the only states with a government body tasked to oversee private probation companies. However, its powers are limited, mainly to assuring companies are properly licensed and file quarterly reports.
I just want you to know that we do what we are asked.
But it's people like Davis.
It almost seems like you're being made to pay again because you're poor, because you just can't afford it.
Who can end up caught in the crosshairs of a system prone to penalizing the poor.
Crossroads estimates that 70% of their clients do successfully complete probation. But the bottom line, though, is we found that there's little oversight beyond the judge in knowing how these people are actually treated when they go through this system.